Good morning, everyone. Welcome to FREEWrite Friday. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Lynn Johnson, and I am the founder and CEO of Soaring Solo Studios, which is a company that is dedicated to the direction and development of one-person plays. And I have the honor of getting to work with solo artists all over the globe, Africa, New York, Hawaii, Florida, Los Angeles, Chicago, you name it. So I very much love what I get to do and work with solo artists and help them tell their stories from stage. So hopefully we'll get some great things accomplished together today with your story. A little bit about me and my background. I am also a solo artist. I toured for a little over 13 years with my first two solo shows. I'm currently writing my third solo show. I have directed and developed well over 100 solo shows in my career as a director and developer. I am on the advisory board for the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival and a blogger for NoHo Arts. So I write a blog that is dedicated to solo theater solely. So you can find that on NoHo Arts. Just look up Soaring Solo and you'll find me there. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Please say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Share where you're at in your solo journey. Are you just in the curiosity phase? Have you written your first draft? Are you touring? Where are you at? And yeah, so say hi and introduce yourselves, where you're from and where you're at in your process. Let's see. So the mission of FREEWrite Friday, for those of you who are new to it, is really just for us to gather together in supportive community and learn more about plot and structure and characters and all the things that go into writing and creating and performing a solid solo show. So it's definitely more of a heady experience than some of my other events that maybe you've been to, like Isolate, Meditate, Create, which you can also find on my YouTube channel. And I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, this is more analytical, really diving into the structure and writing prompts and things of that nature. Let's see what else. If you missed any previous FREEWrite Fridays, you can always jump in and catch up on my YouTube channel. Just go to Soaring Solo LLC on YouTube. And I've got well over 100 videos of all kinds of tutorials for solo theater. So knock yourself out on my YouTube channel. And the next FREEWrite Friday, if you want to go ahead and mark your calendar and also be sure to RSVP on my website, is Friday, September 24th. And that's happening at 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Eastern. So feel free to RSVP on soaringSoloStudios.com and join us then. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you are going to be on camera, please try not to be distracting. And if you're going to be distracting, then just please turn your camera off. Also make sure you have something to write with and write on, or write on your computer or whatever it is. Just writing is obviously going to be part of this. So make sure you're set up for that. And just so you know kind of the structure of this, we will begin with a talking point, kind of a lecture point, and then we'll move into writing. And that's really it. It's not a space for Q&A. It's not a space for sharing our work. That's really more reserved for my free class that I do on Saturdays, which you can find out also on my website about my next free class. Or obviously if you do coaching with me, whether it's privates or a small group or power pairs or things like that, then of course we could dive more into looking at your specific work and questions. But this is really just lecture and writing. So we'll be in and out hopefully in about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, so on with FREEWrite Friday. Today, we are going to be talking about writing the denouement. So essentially that's the end of your show, the resolution of your show. I know a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the falling action, which leads to, the end of your show. But so definitely go back and watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. But the denouement is really about the final part of your play. We're tying all the strands up. We're giving our final thoughts, our resolution, everything's being resolved. And I'm sorry if you hear construction, they're like going to town on my roof. So I apologize for any noises you might be hearing. Let's see. So endings can be really tricky in solo theater. So I'm going to give you some tips to consider to help you as you navigate writing the end of your show. One of the things is once you do have a draft of your entire show and you're trying to figure out if you're ending what it's going to be or if it's working, make sure you really do a pass, like read through your whole show and see what questions have you posed. Are you answering those somewhere throughout your show? And if not, you got to make sure those things are resolved by the end of the show. Have you just left character relationships dangling and you didn't really bring those to any sort of conclusion? Like those sorts of things, we don't want to be sloppy in our playwriting. We really want to make sure that the ending gives that nice bow, so to speak. We tie it all up. So no loose ends. And I find that usually when people come to me in their solo journey, they're kind of in one of two places. Either they are on the other side of the journey, meaning they've been through the divorce, they've been through cancer, they've been through whatever it is, and they're ready to tell their story about it. You know, they know what the ending is, so to speak. And if you're in that place, then I would encourage you to, definitely write that ending. Jump into it. That might be the first thing that you write because you have a lot of clarity on where you sit now. And it actually takes more effort for you to look back and remember how you got to where you are. So you might start your creative process by writing your ending if that's the place that you're in. Sorry, so much construction happening. Let's see. So the other thing that you might run into that you might get tripped up on if you're in that place with your solo show is you might start to write from the beginning to the end as though it's a TED Talk or a lecture of some sort. And we really want to avoid that because it's easy when you're at the end of the journey to then turn it into a, you should do this and you should do that. And this is what I survived through. And this is what I lived through. And here's some tips for you. And we have to remember it's play. You know, we want to keep dramatic tension. We don't want to resolve for the audience in the first 5 minutes that you lived through your divorce, like cancer and whatever else traumatic has happened. And now you're going to guide us through how you did that. I think a lot of times that just alleviates the dramatic tension too soon. And it creates for a really boring show and one that feels like a lecture and that the audience is being talked down to. And we don't want to do that. We want to create that dramatic tension and that build. So just be wary of that as you're writing your solo show, and save those pearls of wisdom, save those gifts for your audience for the ending, for that final statement. Okay, so the other aspect, the other type of solo artist that comes to me is that they're in the middle of the drama. They're in the middle of their story, or maybe just at the beginning. Maybe they just got the divorce papers. Maybe they just lost the job. Maybe they just got the diagnosis of cancer and they want to write about it. They want to use their creative talents to process what's happening. They have no idea what the ending is. The ending feels so far away. And so a lot of times we'll psych ourselves out and feel like, well, I can't write the show. I don't even know where it's going or who am I? What am I going to say about these things? Like I'm in it. I'm in the mess of it. Or we've been in the mess of it for a while and we just assume that we're not professionals and we don't have really any gifts to give our audience because we don't know what the answers are. So you might be in that space. And I just want to encourage you, do not psych yourself out. Don't psych yourself out and believe that you don't have pearls of wisdom to share, because you're in it, you're living it. And as long as who you are at the beginning of the story and who you are at the end of the story is not the same person, you're good. You don't have to solve all the world's problems with the final monologue of your show. You just have to show some sort of transformation, some sort of arc that transpired in your life from the beginning of your story until the end. And let's say it took you 6 months to write a pretty solid first draft of your solo show. Well, I can promise you who you are on day 1 of starting that journey and who you are 6 months later, 2 different people with 2 different things to say. So just trust that and let yourself just write freely and get to the ending that feels natural to you. And when you're ready to put it up on stage, you don't have to have solutions for people. It's not about that. It's just about speaking your vulnerable truth. It's about raising a dialogue. So I'll give you kind of a tangible example of that. So I reference Fertile a lot in these sessions. Fertile is a show written by Heather Dowling, who's a soaring solo instructor and an award-winning solo artist. And at the end of her show, so spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, sorry, spoiler alert, at the end of Fertile, Jenny, the protagonist who's been trying to get pregnant the entire show, like looking at every possible way she can possibly get pregnant, finally says at the end of the show, I just want to hit pause. I just want to hit pause. I'm not saying I'll never have kids. I'm not saying I'm going to have kids. I'm just saying I'm tired and I'm going to hit pause because I'm trying to control all of it. And I don't want to do that anymore. And so for some audience members, that might feel really unsatisfying. Like, well, wait, what's the answer? Do I have kids? Do I not have kids? Is this way of going about having kids morally all okay? Or is this way, and they want those answers. But Heather's purpose when she wrote the ending of that show was to keep it open-ended. Yes, we tie up all the loose strings, so to speak. Everything is resolved in that sense of where we've arrived at a new place. But we allow the audience to determine for themselves what they want to walk away with, what their final message is. So it's not about being sloppy in the playwriting, but it is about creating more of a conversation, more of a dialogue with your audience, rather than saying it's black and white, here's the answer, here's the solution, take that home with you, and that's the only way it can be. Instead, we invite the audience to have a conversation. And just remember, as long as you're engaging in a conversation with your solo show, you're raising a dialogue, you're bringing up issues that deserve to be explored, that's really your only responsibility. You're not having to solve everything for your audience. And again, going back to not discrediting yourself if you don't know exactly what the ending is yet and you're living in the mess of your story right now. I always love to reference Elizabeth Gilbert. It was either in an interview or one of her books that I read, but she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love. And she said when she was writing Eat, Pray, Love, she said herself, she was a hot mess of a person. She was a mess. She did not set out to write that story to save the world or enlighten people or give a great spiritual lesson or anything. She just wrote the things that were happening to her as they were happening to her and tried to make sense of it. And then it becomes what? It's a New York Times bestseller. It was a film with Julia Roberts. It's a book that profoundly changed me and gave me new insights on a lot of things and has been saving grace for me in my life many times over. So I think that's such a testament to, if she had just said, well, I'm kind of a mess right now and I don't know where this story is going, so I'm not going to let myself even begin, it would have been such a huge travesty to our creative world to not have the work that that woman has created. So just remember that even if you're in the mess of it and you don't know what the ending is, keep going on the journey and trust that you will have those final words for the end of your show, and they will be enough. They will be enough just as they are. All right. And the final thing I'll say before we begin writing is remember that your ending can change. Just because you put it in the Google document on your computer or you print out your script and you perform it, maybe you've toured it for an entire year, you're going to change as a person, and you may decide that your ending needs to change. Your life might change, and therefore you want to update your ending or many parts within the show. And that's okay too. After my first show was published in an anthology, I still changed it. So the version you saw me performing a few years after it was published was different than the one that was published, because I was changing as a woman. And so my art, of course, reflected that. So that's the other great thing, that you can kind of breathe and just go, all right, my ending can change. So I can write the ending as it is now, and that will be good enough. And it can always evolve as I evolve. All right, so that was a lot. So the writing prompt for today, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to set my timer for 8 minutes. And I want you to write freely about what you know about your ending so far. So for some of you, that might feel really crystal clear. For others of you, you might feel more in the middle of it, and you might create more of a fantasy of where you think the ending might be heading. You might see a scene toward the end of your show, or a character monologue, a piece of poetry or a song or something like that. What do you know about your end so far? And what do you imagine it to be? And I'm just going to give you 8 minutes. And remember, we're not sharing this. So just allow yourself to be as uncensored as you can and write as freely as you can, and see what you discover. I'll let you know when your time is up. Got about 1 minute left, 1 minute. Okay, please wrap up your writing. Hopefully you made some really wonderful discoveries about what your ending might be. And I would definitely encourage you to transcribe what you've written. If it was written on like scrap paper and a notebook or something, transcribe it into a document on your computer so you can save it somewhere and allow your story to accumulate. You'll notice that in the chat, I put a lot of different announcements. We always have a lot going on in this community. So you can scroll through the chat and see the announcements, starting with my next free class, The Art of Creating the One-Person Play, is happening Saturday, September 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, noon Central, and 1 p.m. Eastern. Just RSVP on my website under free stuff. You can also find it under events and free class. So soaringSoloStudios.com. So RSVP there, and you will get the Zoom link emailed to you. And if you wanted to work with me in a more professional capacity, there's never any pressure for this, but if you wanted to take that step, we could book an initial consultation one-on-one via Zoom. You could try a power pair coaching where you're paired with another solo artist and me guiding you through that session. So you get some outside eyes on your work and the accountability of another solo artist being in the process with you. And you can also try our small group sessions that we offer, which are up to 6 solo artists at one time. And I guide you through that as well. And those are looking at shorter excerpts. And then it's kind of like a solo artist writing room. You know, you get feedback from a lot of different people at different points in their process. So that can be extremely advantageous as well. And then we have an ongoing creating captivating characters intensive, which really breaks down, and that's 3 weeks, and that really breaks down the techniques that it takes to perform characters in a solo show. Unlike an ensemble show, the tools and techniques are totally different when you're the only person on stage. And that's really geared toward wherever you're at in your process. If you're at the very beginning stages and characters help you find your story, that definitely was the case with me. I found my stories very much through my characters. That is a great intensive to take. Or if you're further along in your process, you have your story and you really want to just fine tune your characters and polish their presentation, that's a great offering as well. So email me at soaringsoloartist@gmail.com or fill out a contact form on my website for more information about any of that. And we can see if that's going to be a good fit for you. I'm also doing a virtual reading series called Revealed. It should be kicking off this month and going all the way through April of 2022. And that is just every month I'm going to feature different solo artists with works in progress. We're going to do a Zoom reading, and then we're going to get audience feedback afterwards. So it's going to be a great way to see solo shows that are works in progress and get some feedback so that the artists can get that support and get that very valuable insight from outside eyes. And so if you're interested in participating, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, let the roof not cave in on me. If you're interested in participating in that, email me at soaringSoloArtist@gmail.com for more information, and we can see where you're at in your process and when might be a good date for you to participate in Revealed. What else? So isolate, meditate, create. I'm going to wrap up quickly because it's so loud in my apartment right now. Isolate, meditate, create are sessions that I do for free. It's on my YouTube channel. And those are infusing meditation and visualization to help you write your solo show. So we're tapping into the subconscious mind. We're really getting out of censorship and not enoughness and unworthiness and all the critical voices in our head, and we just write freely. So I would encourage you to look up Isolate, Meditate, Create on the Soaring Solo YouTube channel and watch those episodes. And I'll conclude again with reminding you that Friday, September 24th is the next FREEWrite Friday. So be sure to sign up for that on my website. Thank you all so much. Thank you for putting up with the noise if you can hear it on your end. And I hope that this was very useful for you. Have a beautiful day. Bye, everyone.